Our next potential customers are Niles and Morton Grove. They are engaged in comparing offers from both Evanston and Wilmette Glenview. Just today, as of 4 o'clock, I was informed that they have rescinded their offer to supply water to Niles, so I didn't have time to change the slide. But Niles and Morton Grove are fully engaged right now. They've hired an engineering firm which is reviewing design offers. They've hired a management consultant. They've hired legal counsel to help them determine which route they should go as they move forward. They initially told us that they plan to make a decision by the end of March, but now it looks like they plan to make a decision by mid-May. The Glenview Wilmette offer, as I understood it prior to 4 o'clock today, was that they were going to sell water to these two communities at roughly $2.56 a thousand gallons, and that they would have about $40 million in capital expenditures to make that connection. If it's just these two communities, we think that Evanston would be able to provide water to them for $1.03 a thousand gallons, but they'd have to invest $92 million to build a transmission main to connect to Evanston. So that's the challenge that they're looking at. And if it is just these two communities, it might be advantageous for Evanston to offer to help finance some of the debt service associated with the transmission main, and that would help sweeten the deal and be able potentially to have them make their decision to come to Evanston. However, the biggest deal that would sweeten the pot for them is if we could persuade Park Ridge to be part of this wholesale water consortium as well. As this graphic indicates, if they go to Glenview, Wilmette, each Morton Grove and Niles each save about $575,000. If they were to come to Evanston, it's only those two communities. Morton Grove could save $680,000, Niles could save $430,000. But if you notice the bottom line, if Park Ridge is involved, those two communities would save, well over $1 million, and Park Ridge could save $1 million. So our frustration is getting Park Ridge involved. We believe that they don't want to sell any debt. I understand that they've had troubles with TIF funding. The TIFs aren't generating the revenue, and they've already sold bonds, so they're kind of underwater with that. Is that a pun or what? Anyway, so again, Evanston, I believe, could be in a real good position to help make all this happen if Evanston would be willing to participate in the funding of the water main. If all three communities are involved, again, I'm looking at the bottom line, the cost of the transmission main rises to $115 million. This is based on a study completed by MWH in 2014 with these partners helping us to figure all this out. And the bulk of the cost falls to Park Ridge, and that is because Park Ridge is the largest water user, and they're the furthest from the city of Evanston. So their portion of the transmission main is roughly $50 million.
Mr. Stoneback, I'm sorry, Marty has something to say.
I just wanted to draw a couple of comparisons. In this day and age, it's difficult to talk about debt issuance post-2008, but I would draw the comparison to what this governing board did in the early 90s with the sewer project, embarking on that. $200 million nearly in debt that is now down below 100 million, or
150.
So our annual payments is next year is where we go down to 10 or 11 million from 14 million. So yes, we've just hit the downward slope. And then also what the city did in the downtown. You had two major parking decks. They were all paid for through non-property tax supported debt. That's what we are looking at here. So we're not running out to do this or recommending we run out to do this, but when Evanston has led in capital areas, it has paid off in the past. So we wanted to bring this forward to at least show what happens if we can lead a little bit more, or partner in this case.
And I'd like to continue by showing this is the rate just for water. So again, Glenview Wilmette, prior to 4 o'clock today, They were offering to sell water at $2.56 a 1,000 gallons. If Evanston was willing to sell to Morton Grove and Niles only for $1.03 a 1,000 gallons, but if Park Ridge is involved due to the economy, then the rate would go down to 92 cents a 1,000 gallons. But when on top of that, then the municipalities have to worry about the debt payment on money that they borrow to build the transmission main. And then, so Morton Grove and Niles are shown for the Wilmette Glenview case, and then Evanston is also shown for Morton Grove and Niles. And again, so that 33.39 includes $1.03 plus then $2 and whatever it is for the debt service associated with paying off the construction of the transmission main. If we get Park Ridge involved, what we would do is we anticipate that the communities, Morton Grove and Niles, would pay their own debt service, but Evanston would actually wind up charging Park Ridge $3.18 a 1,000 gallons. That would be the 92 cents to purchase the water, $2.26 to pay for the debt service, and 10 cents extra to get the coverage on the bonds that Evanston would then keep. So, and then Niles and Morton Grove could also charge an additional 16 cents to help their portion of paying for the main. And yet that 334 compared to Chicago's currently charging 381. We think in 2018, when we think we would start providing water, the Chicago rate would be up to $4.04 a 1,000 gallons. And that's how Park Ridge can still save $1 million a year by purchasing water with Niles and Morton Grove and getting it from Evanston. So that's the risk that we would run, is that, and I don't know how much of a risk it is because they're always going to take water. Our projections show a decreasing use in water from these communities as well, because we realize Evanston using less water with all the water conservation devices that are being installed. So we've took a very conservative look at the water usage and tied that to how much the bonding would be to build the transmission main. And we believe that financial backers would be in favor of this, knowing that Evanston has the water plant. We're the ones producing the water. We're sharing in the transmission main to get it constructed, and that just brings revenue back into Evanston from the sale of the water as well. So that's what we would propose to do. And on March 30th, there is a meeting in Park Ridge in which Morton Grove and Niles and their consultant are presenting to Park Ridge. I'll be at that meeting as well. And I would encourage you that if you are in agreement with Evanston proposing to help with the financing of the transmission main, that you contact the mayors from Morton Grove, Niles, and Park Ridge and let them know that it isn't just staff that's behind this, that the city council is weighing and considering this and making that known to them as well. So it isn't just what I'm telling them, it's what the city of Evanston is telling them.
It's not just staff. I'm on board.
Thank you. And then lastly, I want to talk about the Northwest Suburban Municipal JAWA. This is 7 communities in western Cook County: Mount Prospect, Elk Grove, Hanover Park, Rolling Meadows, Schaumburg, Hoffman Estates, and Streamwood. They average about 30 million gallons a day. For all the other scenarios, if Lincolnwood, Morton Grove, Niles, Park Ridge come to Evanston, we do not need to expand the treatment plant. We have the capacity to provide all those communities with our current infrastructure. If these communities come, we would have to nearly double the size of the water plant, and that will be very expensive, but we get we're proposing a 10% return on rate from doing that, and so that allows us to get a lot of revenue come back in on that investment. We've had 3 meetings with NIMSI JAWA and the Northwest Water Commission, so part of this is getting those 2 organizations together to maybe join forces, and if they did that, then it makes sense, because the Northwest Water Commission wants to have a redundant pipeline out to their reservoir, and there's ample space at their site that they own in Des Plaines, that they could increase their reservoir capacity out there, build another pumping station, and be able to provide water to the Jawa as well. So that's what we've been discussing. The executive director from the Jawa has indicated that he hopes to make a decision on a recommendation to his board sometime in the mid-2015 range, because they realize that if they move forward with this, they have big capital expensive. They will not, their current facilities on O'Hara Airport, and Chicago has told them that they would not be allowed to use that site. They would have to get a new site, which is why the Northwest Water Commission would work. So they'd have to build the infrastructure at a new site. They'd have to build a large transmission main out to that site. And so there's a lot of work doing with that. And so their contract with Chicago expires in 2022. And if they're going to do this, they need to get moving probably in
Mr. Stonebeck, though,
well.
also isn't a lot of these costs that you're just enumerating would be the second time around for these agencies. They did it all once before, and now all their bonds are paid off. So it's not as if they're embarking on something that they've never done before. It's just a matter of trying to look forward again for them because of the change in the climate with City of Chicago rates changing.
And I forget if they're the second or the third largest customer for the City of Chicago, and they've really been trying to use, their weight and how much water they take and get a deal with the City of Chicago to say, just tell us that you'll raise the rates by the cost index, the consumer price index. And Chicago won't do that. By ordinance, it's still up to the whim of the City Council at any time, which, as we know, in the past several years, they've had significant rates. It's been 114% over the past 8 to 10 years. So they're frustrated that Chicago won't guarantee rate increases, and so they're anxious to have somebody that will show, using the AWWA mechanism of setting rates, establishing rates, as a way of certainty for them. I'm just going to go into this next one, although Kristen was supposed to. I'm just going to wrap it up here real quick. This is our other cost of service model. This is the one that we use to establish wholesale rates. We use this one to determine how much revenue we're going to get from the other wholesale water customers, and then that backs into what the revenue requirement is for the Evanston retail customers. And we plug that into the first model, and we devise what's the appropriate rate for the Evanston customers. This model includes all of our assets, so this is just one little part of it. This shows all the assets that are in our source or our intake supply system. And I know Laura Biggs referenced the 1909 intake pipe. You can see that the original cost back in 1909 was $44,888. It's the accumulated depreciation of $33,300. So it has a net book value right now of only $11,500, and the cost to replace it is estimated at $515,000. So these are all costs that are really important when we go to establish rates with our wholesale water customers. So you can see that the original cost sums up to be a lot less than the replacement cost, which is why Evanston's suggesting that we have a 50-50 blend of original costs and replacement costs as we move forward. And then just summarizing this is hypothetical that we were successful in getting Lincolnwood, Morton Grove, Niles, and Park Ridge based on our 2015 budget. And you can see how all the costs are associated with the different municipalities, but on the bottom side, you can see that our total revenue requirements would be $18 million. And you can see how Skokie and the Northwest Water Commission pay for a lot of that. Skokie's doesn't take nearly the water that the commission does, but because they get their water through our transmission system, they have to help pay for that, so that's why they generate more money as well. Lincolnwood shown there, Morton Grove, Niles, and Park Ridge, and then the remainder, that $3,730,000, is what the Evanston retail ratepayers would have to pay, and that's what we plug back into our other cost of service model to determine the appropriate rates for the Evanston ratepayers. So thank you for your time. This really got to be a long night.